going to start with, is anyone feeling just existentially exhausted? Like nothing is simple anymore. Like the stakes for everything are really, really high. Leslie and I were talking last week. We were using the terms oversaturated and overstimulated. There is just so much happening right now. And even more challenging is that some of these really big, heavy things are causing all of us to re-examine things that we thought we knew. Things we thought were standard are no longer standard. You can't just watch the news if you even have the stomach to watch the news. Making a doctor's appointment, buying baby formula, even going on vacation. We have to think about the potential delays, the supply chain shortages, chances for COVID, and plan for any variety of scenarios just to leave the house. There are cases in which we are forced to consider factors we'd never thought about before. Well, on one hand, we could view it as an opportunity for education. On the other, it's just plain exhausting. But that's just my opinion. I think it's tiring. But others may find it infuriating. Some may express anger that what they held as a given no longer applies. It can be hard to face a new reality, especially if it causes us to feel outdated, ignorant, or even embarrassed. Balaam feels that way in this week's Torah portion. As he rides along on his donkey, he is sent to deliver a curse to the Israelite people. As he's riding, a messenger from God appears right in the middle of the road. The donkey sees the messenger and veers off course in order to avoid crashing into the messenger. Balaam can't see this angel, but the donkey can. Balaam becomes angry with the donkey, and he whips her, trying to get her to go back onto the road. They continue on their way, and then the angel messenger appears again before them in a small passageway. The donkey moves off to the side, crushing Balaam's foot in the process against a wall. Not knowing or even really caring why the donkey was acting so erratically, Balaam whips her again to get her back on track. Finally, and of course the third time's the charm, the donkey sees the messenger from God in front of it in a narrow passageway, and there's no way to circumvent it. The donkey simply lies down and refuses to budge. And once again, Balaam becomes angry and he beats the donkey with a stick. God then speaks to Balaam through the mouth of the donkey, of course, because that's how things work. But God calls out to Balaam for being cruel. The donkey asks, what did I do to cause you to beat me all of these times? Is this the way I normally behave? And Balaam replies, you made me look like a fool. If I had a sword, I would kill you. As an aside, this makes me think of that Margaret Atwood quote, where she says, men are afraid women will laugh at them, and women are afraid men will kill them. So once the donkey, that is God, explains the situation, that there's a messenger from God in front of him, Balaam understands and admits he was wrong. He says, I have sinned because I did not know you were standing right in front of me. If we aren't paying attention, like Balaam, sometimes we can also make mistakes by omission or ignorance. One of our sacred tasks as Reformed Jews is to educate ourselves and then make a personal choice from the knowledge we have gained. As of late, you may have been inundated with lots of information and lots of misinformation about abortion and abortion bans. We can't drive down a street in Johnson County, and I'm sure the state of Kansas right now, without seeing signs telling us to vote no, vote yes, or to value them both, or value choice, regarding the constitutional amendment that's on the ballot on August 2nd. I've noticed lately, though, that many people are surprised to find out that even the most conservative interpretations of Jewish law do not support an outright ban to abortion. This is an opportunity to educate ourselves and the world around us. many of my local Jewish colleagues have written op-eds and letters to the editor to share that a state ban on abortion would be an infringement on Jewish freedom of religion. There is sometimes an assumption, though, that the most conservative Jewish view matches the most conservative Christian view. And oftentimes that can be the case. Jewish tradition is so rife for interpretation that through our modern lenses, we could come to a variety of conclusions on the same issue. For instance, we read famously in the book of Isaiah that we should beat our swords into plowshares and our spears into pruning hooks. But did you know there's also a halakhic justification for using lethal force to protect oneself and one's property? That is one legitimate viewpoint that you can take from reading and understanding our historical texts. When it comes to LGBT equality and inclusion, our community recognizes that each of us is made in the image of God and should be treated as such. At the same time, Jewish texts have often been unkind, to say the least, when addressing what we would call LGBT issues. While this is not how we in our community understand our sacred text and heritage, it's difficult to counter what could be considered a legitimate view of our Jewish history and how that informs someone's belief system. But an abortion ban is unequivocally non-Jewish. I could rattle off the list of texts for you, but in short, Jewish tradition says that the life of the pregnant person takes priority until the baby is actively being born. That pregnant person is a whole individual capable of making decisions for themselves and encouraged to make the decision that is right for their health and the health of their family. In the case of a life-threatening complication, if a cure or known treatment is available, you're supposed to take advantage of it. The definition, the line I really like, comes from the conservative responsum about the COVID vaccine. And essentially it says, if a known cure exists, how dare you reject it and then pray for a miracle? Because that's chutzpah. There is a lot of misinformation out there in the world right now. It can be frustrating to read these things that we know are unequivocally false, or even to think about trying to educate ourselves on the subject can be exhausting. But please, let me assure you, an outright ban on abortion violates Jewish law and infringes on our constitutional freedom of religion. While some may refuse an abortion for themselves on religious grounds, that's their business, not that of their community, and certainly not that of their legislature. If you are on the fence with this issue, I implore you to engage with Jewish texts. Exercise your right to change your opinion when presented with new evidence. And do not, like Balaam, cause harm to another living being simply because you did not know. It is possible to know and to learn and change and evolve. And please know I am here to support you on that quest. Shabbat shalom.